guys, how's it going, and welcome back. So today is ukulele project video for you guys. I'm going to do this in stages here and there as I go along. It's not going to be a full DIY thing, but you'll get the idea of how to do this. You're going to need some tools like a bandsaw, table saw, a drill press would be handy, sander. A couple of them actually, because you're going to need a belt sander as well as a regular palm type sander, because you're going to want to get this all cleaned up really nice and whatnot. And of course you're going to have to do some hand sanding to get off the sharp corner edges of your fretboard too. But anyways, so this is a project I thought, well, I don't have all the equipment I need to actually build an actual guitar, 6-string, but I do have most of which I could. But I thought, let's start with something simple, because I've never built a guitar before. I mean, modding them, fixing them, that's one thing, building one from scratch, that's a whole other ball game. And so anyways, I thought, let's start with a ukulele. And because I don't like small little ukuleles, I thought, go big or go home. And so it turns out that after talking to the music store the other day, because I had to get strings, there are different strings for ukuleles, of course, and it turns out that because of my design format and size, what I'm building is what's called a baritone, which is cool because it tunes just like a regular guitar too, and some of the chords are the same, even though you only got 4 strings still. So I have this really nice, perfectly flat, big piece of plywood kicking around, and it's not quite 1/4 of an inch thick. So I made my body panels out of this. Now these are still roughed, they're not final sanded yet. I'm waiting until I assemble the body, then do all the final sanding and tweaking. And of course our thickness of our body is going to be somewhere around here, about roughly, I guess 2 inches, eh? So, yeah, probably pretty close to 2 inches anyways, just shy of 2 inches. Before I actually make those pieces, I'm going to have to go online and check the website for the electronics, because this is going to be an acoustic electric. And to get the hole in there, I decided, well, I'm going to go with the round hole, because I was going to do something really fancy and cool, but not for this one. We'll do that maybe on the next one. But so I had to buy a hole saw kit too, and you gotta buy tools when you're gonna do stuff like this. I still have to order in a fret slot cutting saw from StewMac yet. That's something that I was gonna actually do last week, but I didn't, so I'll have to do it this month at some point. So anyways, I've got some walnut here that's a little over 400 years old, at least according to my father, and I would believe it considering what the walnut came from. So I've still got plenty of that stuff left kicking around. But I haven't decided what I'm doing about the neck. I may make the neck out of hardwood. I may go with walnut on walnut, in which case some of you are like, well, why'd you make a fretboard then? Well, if I'm going to go walnut on walnut, regardless, I still need a separate fretboard because you only get one chance at cutting the slots. So at the same time, I also made sure I cut extra blanks for the fretboard. So I still got to trace and cut these ones out as well, and then this way they're prepped to go, because like I said, there's one shot. If you screw up an angle, you are screwed. So they're gonna have to be like perfectly dead aligned when I go to do this. So what I'll probably end up doing is buying a baritone uke, or I may even rent one just so I can get the measurements, unless they let me, just take the measurements in store and go, okay, I need, this spacing from this fret to this fret to this fret, or I can find plans online, hopefully, that I can just, get the specs off of, not have to pay for the plans. One way or another, we're going to find out what the spacing of the frets are. I already have frets. I have all the fretting tools except for the one, which is the saw. And, but I thought, okay, so I did look up, and the nut width is 36 millimeter, and you'll notice that this is kind of on an angle. It goes narrow at the headstock end and wider at the bottom, and that's normal even for most guitars, right? It's very rare you ever see one solid piece the same width all the way down for a fretboard. But I still haven't decided as far as the bridge goes, if I'm going to make it out of oak or walnut or what. I got a piece of oak, actually a couple pieces. I'm thinking I'm going to probably do the nut and saddle out of walnut. Because it's a ukulele, there's not a lot of high tension there. There's not a super amount of high tension. So as such, I can get away with it, right? And you know, I could make even like a little bit slightly thicker than normal saddle, which is not a big deal. And you know, I gotta still figure out a few things yet. I may yet go with bone. We'll see. The idea behind this project too is to cost me as little amount of money as possible, and working with on-hand materials to do this, right? And also, ukuleles don't have truss rods in them. At least I've never seen one with one yet. It is probably possible there's a uke out there that has a truss rod, but this one doesn't gonna require it. So, but I do have the tuners, which are going to be gold tuners that are going to be going in this thing. I got this thing about gold. I don't know what it is. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave the body the color it is, but I probably will, because I've got enough of these walnut slabs left that I can use these as my frames. You know, I just got to narrow these down a little bit more. And of course I'll have to cut some angles in to get around all the points and stuff. You know, but, you know, that's just actually a pretty good width. But I want to make it just a little narrower, you know, for the width. And then we'll see how that goes. But I think if I went with walnut for this, let me just try and get this set up so that it actually has a bit of a look to it here. I think this will actually work with the walnut, to be honest, because then I could leave the top and bottom the same color that they are now. Just, you know, this thing is going to get gloss finished in the end. But I think that would look like a really nice contrast for the body. But then we still have, you know, is the bridge actually going to look good if we were to use oak, you know? And then, of course, our fretboard comes off like so, you know. So we'll have to see how it goes. This is a pretty long scale length, though. The actual length of the fretboard is 19 3/8. So I am going to double check that, and if I do have to do any trimming, I can just take it off from the bottom here. So I will double check the lengths. I'm just kind of Googling things as I go, because I'm building this on the fly. I'm not doing up any plans. And I know in the past people have asked me, hey, you got any plans for this? No, I build stuff on the fly. I build one-of-a-kind stuff. You know, nothing is ever repeated, and that's the way I like to do it. And this is something that right now I'm building it for me. And if it works out and I get a lot of people really liking it, and people do ask me to build them one, well then okay, I'll build one. But I'm still going to be doing it, you know, reasonably within the fly for somebody else. I will go to what, you know, what they want type of thing, right? So I'll have to take measurements based on what they want, but otherwise, you know, this is my deal for me, and I'm doing it on the fly. So now some of you also think, well, if you use something this thick, it's not going to be really heavy. Well, it's going to have some weight, and I want some weight in it to a certain point. I just don't want it neck heavy, you know, so, which it's probably going to end up a little neck heavy anyway, but you can't avoid certain things in life, right? But you get the idea so far. So this is part one, and this is where I'm at right now today. When I make more progress, that's reasonable progress, I will give you guys the next video part of where I'm at. I'm hoping today I will be able to actually get the body framing at least attached to the bottom panel, and because I don't want to, you know, rush things, because, you know, it's all about getting things set right, and, you know, I'm going to have to work with this angle, that angle, and I still got to go through some of my wood yet to see what all I want to do for the rest of it. It is likely going to be a glued neck, but it could turn out to be a bolt-on neck, but we'll have to see. It's more than likely going to be a glued neck, though. So, but, well, I just take things as we go. In the meantime, I still got to trace out the other remaining fretboard pieces and get them cut and sanded into shape, just in case something does go wrong. And I want to get them all nicely cleaned up here on the top surfaces, and then store them and keep them weighted down. So, because humidity affects things, so if I keep them weighted down and squashed flat, they'll stay flat. But anyways, continuing on, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more on this project, and we'll catch you on the next video. Ciao!